Hi there. I'm here to show you how to make a rose out of scrap metal, something that looks like this. Some of the tools that you're going to need are a hammer, biggest one you can find. You're going to need some scrap metal. This is 35 gauge sheet metal. You're going to need one or two pairs of needle nose pliers. Center punch is helpful. A chisel has a nice wide tip on it. It's helpful. You'll need tin snips. You'll need gloves. You may need a drill. You will need a torch with a triple-aught tip. You'll need some filler metal. I'm using some MIG wire for this. And you will need a block of wood. So the first thing that you're going to do is print out the template and the instructions on how to make this. Get everything that you need, and you're going to trace your template onto your sheet metal. You're going to need 3 sets of petals that are different sizes. You will also need 2 leaves, and you'll need a sepal. We need to trace and cut out the metal. Make sure you're wearing your gloves. Make sure that you put your safety glasses on. Get your permanent marker and your papers out and trace them on your metal. So when we cut this out, I'm going to give you a little tech tip right here. On the drawing, it doesn't show very much of a wide area through here. So we want to widen that out a little bit, and we want an equal distance, about a ½ inch from the center hole there. So I'm going to start cutting, and as I cut, I'm going to try to make one continuous cut through here, and I'm going to widen that bottom out, and I'm just going to use the tip of the tin snips. This is where you need your gloves, because this is super sharp. Do not do this without gloves. And these lines that I drew on here are suggestions. This is art. So that means that if you don't like the way it looks, let's change it just a little bit. So this is your tech tip. Make sure you leave a nice wide opening and about a ½ inch from the center of your hole. So now we need to place all of our little contour marks in the sepal and also in the leaves. And I've already done some of this. Take your time when you do this. Don't hit it hard. Use a smaller hammer, don't use a sledgehammer. And as you do it, you can work your way down. So you can look at it and do a little bit, and then hammer it out straight. We aren't looking to do anything but just create a little bit of definition. So hopefully you can see that, what I'm doing there, and that's real light. If I want it a little bit deeper, I can go back over it. I don't have to do it all in one try. This is a very time-consuming part of it. In order to do the leaves and the sepal, take your time, do it right, you won't be sorry. So once you have all of your pieces cut out and they look nice and they look kind of symmetrical the way you want them, you are going to want to either drill a hole or punch a hole in the center of them for the stem to go through. No matter what, you want to start out with a center punch right here. And I like to drill a hole, but when you drill a hole, make sure that you hold on to it tight. Okay, there we go. So we drilled our hole right in the center, and it's ready for our stem to go through.
Hopefully you don't feel like this guy right now.
The next thing that we'll want to do is we will want to get a stem. And what this is a piece of 1/8 inch welding rod. that I took out of the stub bucket, and I knocked the flux off, and I just ground it down a little bit. It was already short. That's about how long that I want it. I also set up some fire bricks, and I'm going to place the stem down in here, and I will put the sepal on, and we're going to weld this on. And so the technique for doing this is really tricky because we have a real thick piece of metal and we have a real thin piece of sheet metal that's our sepal that we just spent a whole lot of work on. So we want to not aim the torch down at the sheet metal. We want to kind of blow by as much as we can, and once this stem gets hot enough, we are going to just dip our torch down and add some filler metal to it in order to weld it. So now we're going to do some welding. All that, it's almost starting to smell like a rose. So we welded the sepal on, looks good. I'm going to take the largest pedal, I'm going to place it on there, get it down as flat as I possibly can, and we're going to weld that on. After you finish your welding, everything should look like this. Our next step is we want to clip off this piece right here. Now we are going to start shaping our rose, and we're going to start from the inside. Just pick one of the 4 petals. We are going to bend it up, and we are going to start by making a cup shape out of it. So I'm cupping the edges. Pretty tight, make it nice and smooth, and I bend it straight up. Then I'm going to go to the opposite one, and I'm going to do the same thing, and I want it to overlap the first one. Always wear your gloves while you're doing this. This is still very sharp. So what I've done is I've created an overlapping petals for the center. Now I'm going to bring up the other 2 and cup those around the other sides. I overbent it a little bit. And I might want to take and just put a little bit of a lip on this one. Not sure if you can see that, but I've kind of bent a little bit of a lip on it on the outside to give it a little bit of 3-dimension look. I'll do the same thing with the other one. So what I've done is I've created an overlapping petals for the center. Now I'm going to bring up the other 2 and cup those around the other sides. The next one I'm going to kind of do a circular pattern from now on, because if you look at a rose up close, that's kind of what it has. So you can shape it and form it whatever way you like.
The perfect rose.
So the next thing you want to do is you want to take your leaves and just take a little piece of wire and you want to weld them on to this little piece of stem. Take a look at that, looking pretty good. Now what you'll notice if you look real close is you can see all the marker lines that I was drawing on there and also the writing on the can. So we're going to erase that with a torch. So after you're done erasing all the letters with the torch, you have a rose. It smells good, looks good, and it will never wilt. Thank you so much for watching.